Hello, and welcome to a very special Cosmic Wisdom update. So, every 2 weeks, we get together on here and I do a kind of download of what's happening astrologically and in alignment with the sun and moon cycles. That really helps us sync up with the harmonious rhythm of the earth that we're living on and be able to self-reflect and get clarity on how our individual unique patterns and cycles work within the larger collective of the astrology cycles. And every 2 weeks, we have a new moon and then a full moon, new moon, full moon, and that's basically our year. But every 6 months, one of those cycles is called the eclipse cycle. And that's what we have coming up. And this next new moon, which is happening on February 17th, is also a solar eclipse. So a solar eclipse is always a new moon, and a lunar eclipse is always a full moon. But the difference there is that when eclipses happen, they work in close conjunction with the nodes of the moon. Now, the nodes are really important aspects in the type of astrology that we do. They're called the nodes of destiny. And there's two nodes. There's the north node and the south node. And the north node is pointing us in alignment with the path of destiny. It's always kind of this like cosmic cheat sheet chart or point that we can look at and say, okay, when everything else is confusing and I don't know what to do, I'm going to err on the side of wherever the north node is pointing me. And we can look at either in our own birth chart or in the sky at any given moment, and both if you really want to get super aligned. And kind of orient in that direction. So there is a roadmap for life, and it's found in the astrology charts, right? Now, opposite that north node is the south node, and that's basically showing us at a given moment where that south node is transiting. We've mastered all that there is to master there, and any additional energy that we put into that archetype, right? Because each zodiac sign is a unique archetype that we all embody, all 12 or 13 of them. And it's, the cycles of the moon and the sun help highlight these and give us these gentle encouragements and illuminations and nudges to elevate these archetypes in us. So it helps us become a more well-rounded human and to achieve personality mastery. So when we look at the south node in the sky, we're really looking at a point that is mastered for now. Any additional energy there would be against evolution, would not be moving you into more alignment or onto that like soul path or roadmap. And during eclipses, the moon cycle, the sun and moon cycle, which again is that gentle nudge, that illumination, that subtle opportunity to round ourselves out personality wise, it becomes more pronounced because it's working with those eclipses, or sorry, with those nodes of destiny. And all of a sudden, a gentle nudge doesn't really feel as gentle anymore. An eclipse does just that. It eclipses our life in certain areas. So we have opportunity to continue releasing, continue expanding, release, expand, release, expand. That's the full moon, new moon cycle. When an eclipse comes, we don't necessarily have the option. Things get removed for us. Expansions come in whether we're ready or not. And so when we look at the solar eclipse, right, because a new moon is an expansion, and a full moon is a release, and we bring in that it's working with the eclipses and not just the full moon, new moon, then we have like a forced expansion, whether we're ready or not, and a forced or even like painful release, because this is often to things that we've been clinging on to for a long time that, are no longer serving us. And things feels like an outside, right? Things outside of us that the sun lights up. And then there's inner, like, pain or feelings, right, that happen when those things change. So with the lunar eclipse, because the moon is the inner experience and the sun is the outer experience, then with the solar eclipse first, what's happening on February 17th, we get this kind of like forced energy of expansion, whether we're ready or not. And that might cause life to shift outside of us, right? And then we're going to be, right, like the goal of this this update is to help you attune to what the nature, the archetype of that expansion is, so that you can be like, okay, it's coming. I know it's coming, and I know I have to expand. I'm like breathing through this. I know this is for my greatest good because I'm moving in alignment with those nodes of destiny. And then 2 weeks later, we feel this kind of like energetic fallout of all of that expansion. So there's the expansion, and then there's the integration that happens with the lunar eclipse, where we land in our bodies and we go, okay, like, how do I feel about these changes happening? And what we're going to be feeling is that which is still painful or still grasping or still controlling, that we're going to then be asked to see and feel and release, right? So this is just, again, in a nutshell, another perspective of the solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse experience. And for this video in particular, because I do these videos every 2 weeks, I'm going to talk about the new moon solar eclipse that's happening on February 17th. And then if you want to tune in March 3rd, 2 weeks later, to get that full moon lunar eclipse download. And of course, you know, if you want to go to your own chart, I'm just pulling up a transit chart here, and I'm just going to pull up a random one and kind of blank out the name. Oh, it's mine. Perfect. So if you want to pull up your own chart, then what you can do is basically you can see here's where the planets are in the sky. My natal birth chart, right? That's my natal birth chart on the inner wheel. And then we've layered on top on the outer wheel where the planets will be during the solar eclipse. And so you can see for me, this new moon solar eclipse is happening right here in my 12th house with the node in my first house. And so I'm going to look up the meaning of the 12th house and the first house to understand basically, or put it into context, everything I'm going to give as a download for this solar eclipse in Aquarius. But specifically for me, I can see exactly where it's showing up in my life. And you can go and do that too. You can pause the video and you can go to a website like astro.com or just Google natal transit chart, or you can join our online community and we walk you through how to do that there. And then you just Google, what does it mean to have a new moon in the 12th house, or what's the meaning of the 12th house? And you can start to put these things together. So you might want to pause and do that now, or you might want to just kind of listen and take notes, and you can always come back to this video later. So focusing in the solar eclipse, let's start with just the look of this solar eclipse, okay? Sorry, it's a grainy picture, but you get the point. The solar eclipse coming up is called a Ring of Fire eclipse. Now, like, let's just take a step back and look at that for a moment. If you were a human, well, you are a human on Earth, without knowledge of these higher aspects and this higher kind of intelligence and resource and data that we have to know, okay, I know an eclipse is coming, so I know when the sky goes red and the sun turns black and looks like it's on fire, I'm not going to die. It's not Armageddon, right? But we have to remember that we have this survival reptilian brain still very much intact and very much running the show in a lot of ways inside all of us. And again, when we work with 3D tropical astrology, we're really working with the lower human experience and this like reaching pursuit, or this ladder of ascension towards the higher faculties and the expansive frequency. And there's a graduated way to look at the chart, or to look at astrology and even the different systems of astrology that that very gracefully and gently guides us through that process. But in general, the benefit of working with 3D tropical Western astrology is to really remember that we're all animals, first and foremost, with this soul, this spirit, this higher light guiding us. But there's a contention between the light that wants to guide and the animal brain that wants to protect itself. So again, if you put yourself as a human without the data of what's coming, and we really just like are in, like existence mode, and all of a sudden one day, you're out like hunting, you're out working the fields, or it's February, so you're hunkered down, at the end of winter with limited resources, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, I'm just going to trust that spring is coming soon, like starting to ration, starting to just feel the winter. And then already in a gloomy wintry day, you look outside, or you see it darkening through the windows, and you look out towards the sun and you see this. You see the sun has turned into a ring of fire, and it's gone black on the inside. On a primal level, that's terrifying. That's Armageddon. That is fear for survival, right? So the very first thing to understand about eclipses is they trigger a very primal fear in us. And even though we know now to expect eclipses, we're still being triggered on a very primal level, because we still have this animal lower brainstem that's always in protection mode to a certain extent. So eclipses in general are very taxing on our nervous system. And even in the energy of the eclipse coming up, you can think these planets are coming together. The moon is meeting with that node, and like all of the planets are aligning around it, and there's this like electromagnetic charge to it. Our nervous systems can feel that. It's very much like if you've ever seen kind of storm clouds brewing in the distance, and all of the cows in the field are already laying down before it's even started raining, because they know, they feel it coming, so they're getting prepared. And it's the same with our nervous systems. We know, we can feel this coming. And so if you feel anxiety, or if you feel a little bit more on edge, or especially because this is a Aquarius, it's an air, it's a mental eclipse, or if in general you're just kind of a cerebral, mental, like overthinker type person, you might be feeling your nervous system, but letting your mind grab onto that and starting to like grab for info and data and like, ideas and all of the things. So there's this real energy of like activation, because we know this is coming, and we know this triggers us on a primal level. And then the thing to know past that is, again, it's why we work with this style of astrology, is to gain clarity over what's coming, and to kind of go a step ahead and prepare with the information, so that and then we know, preceding that information gathering, that can be a great resource for us when that inevitable moment happens next, when life starts becoming eclipsed, and it's ushering us into this big forced expansion, right? So we do this work to have clarity, knowing that that animal brain is going to get triggered. And then when it does, you can say, okay, I knew this was going to happen. I knew where it was going to happen. I'm preparing myself in advance. I'm resourcing myself. And I know to breathe through this experience. And then we let the astrology talk to us and really tell us like where to put our focus and our attention during this trigger event, so to speak. So that's where we look at the chart, and we can focus in here, and we can see where is the new moon solar eclipse happening. So February 17th at around 4 a.m. in Kelowna, so in Pacific time, you can see we have this perfect alignment of the moon and the sun, and that's a new moon. That's an indicator of the new moon. And like I said, because it's close to the north node, this equals eclipse. And because it's the north node and not the south node, right? The south node is that upside down horseshoe. We know where to focus our energy and attention, right? Here in Pisces, and we know where the expansion is coming here in Aquarius. So you have an Aquarius in the we have an expansion in the Aquarius archetype or area of our life where this is happening. And we have the how to like mitigate it, where to focus, how to find calm and rest and reassurance and trust in the nodal expression. So we're working with expanding the Aquarius archetype while surrendering to the Piscean archetype. So you have this beautiful combination of both of those energies. In order to understand how that expansion is showing up for you, let's do a deep dive into the sign of Aquarius, okay? So again, a new moon or a solar eclipse is going to bring us into a new archetype and give us that kind of like high expressive energy of it and ask us to really lean into that part of ourselves. Because it's an eclipse, you're going to have things in your life show up that push you into it and push you into the fire, so to speak. It's like if you picture that ring of fire eclipse, what I'm seeing right now is a circus. And I'm pretty sure this is a thing at a circus where they have like in the sand, they've got an actual ring of, or maybe it's a hula hoop set on fire. It's been a while since I've been to the circus, but I'm seeing like an actual ring of fire. And like you're jumping through it or you're going inside of it to perform your little dance. And this is the energy of the solar eclipse in Aquarius. It's like life is going to somehow push you in and say, no, you've got to commit to this archetype. You've got to commit to this new consciousness. And the way that I've been seeing this also, because I've been doing many, many eclipse readings for people, is as like you're trying to get into an event, a formal event. And there's a very strict dress code. It's formal only black tie attire. And you've shown up in your old casual day clothes and you're trying to get into the door, but there's bouncers there and they're saying, no, you can't come in. It's a black tie event. You can't wear those clothes into this new room. And so we're going to be pushed into Aquarian energy. And remember, February 17th, also first day of the fire horse season or lunar year, right? And so we get this airy, fiery energy that's very, think about a fire that's raging and air just fans it and makes it like even bigger and even more extreme. Right? Whereas on the other side, water and earth, we kind of get this soggier, heavier, like almost denser earth experience. Whereas those that are airy and fiery, they come and they're like active and they're up and they tend to be more so out of the dense experience. These are people that can maybe bypass the emotional experience too much because it feels slow, it feels lethargic, it doesn't feel progressive. Right? But when we're leaning into this Aquarius energy, we want to a certain degree, get ourselves out of emotional entanglement, right? So for me, for example, I mentioned that it's in the 12th house. And so that 12th house is the channel, it's time away, it's isolation, it's meditation, it's connection to spirit, it's a lot of like the work that I do, right? But if I was spending all of my time like deep in the groggy, earthy routine or kind of muddiness or slow or mundane of life, I would be really missing an opportunity and that expansion available to me in this other area of my life. So pulling myself out of emotional entanglement, whether it's to my routine, to my family, to my partnerships, to my work, to whatever it is that has that dense kind of pull for you. And this isn't to say that things that pull you into density are wrong or bad. Frankly, for me, because I have a lot of air energy, it serves me a lot to be slow, to rest, to allow myself to be a little bit more inert. But in this case, where I'm focusing my attention and where life is going to come to basically like, again, push me into that ring of fire and say, perform. Sorry, that was intense, but it's just, I see it in my mind as very intense. So it's like a circus. It's like you're getting pushed in and there's people watching and you're going to have to perform. This is funny too, because as I'm saying this, I'm remembering the dream I had last night. I had a dream. I skateboarded a little bit when I was a teenager and in my 20s, but I'm by no means like competitive level. But I had a dream last night that someone had entered me into a skateboard competition, and there were all of these people watching. And I had, probably because I'm watching a lot of Olympics right now and like snowboarding, slopestyle and stuff, but there were all of these people watching me. And here I am, like, I don't even know if I remember how to skateboard. And now I have to like jump up on these rails and stuff. But it was the same thing. And you know, maybe that was an eclipse message for me, right? Because it's the exact same thing that's coming through with this ring of fire. It's like, what is your dream? What has been lighting you up? What is that dream that you have in your head and your heart and your high heart? Now you're going to have to learn this Aquarian consciousness, because it's a very important part of this dream for your life that is ready to start to like flourish this year, we'll say. So by, in general, less emotional entanglement and seeing life and things and everything from a higher perspective, zooming out, thinking about the collective, thinking about the big picture. That's very Aquarius, or, you know, very kind of like quantum, to zoom out, to step back and see like, okay, you know, I only have a small amount of time to really allow myself to be in this Aquarian energy. Maybe it's not the most comfortable for me because I was told to shut up or not be weird, or I come from a very conventional family and these are not conventional thoughts or ideas or a life I want to live. But right now, if I zoom out and I look at my life and I go like, I only have this month or this amount of time to really like be fully expressed, you know, and live with many colors and be as vibrant and expressive as possible, then, you know, from that perspective, you can go, no, I can find that drive. I can find that dream. And then the Aquarius starts to archetype or architect life around it, right? But if you're down in the sauce, if you're lost in the sauce, if you're in the muddy, you know, water and you can't see through, or if you're just in emotional entanglement or taking on energy or in a soup of things, you can't separate yourself enough to fulfill that dream. So something big I've been talking about, if you've got a eclipse transit reading, these will be a lot of similar themes that I'm talking about. But something big that I've been talking about is this dream that we all have in our hearts, right? In the past couple of years, I mean, or it feels like our whole lifetime, but specifically in these past couple of years in this Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle, which is 2025 to 2026, which we're still wrapping up this year. What we've really learned is to find stillness and space, and to go slow, to surrender, to find trust in God or source or our higher self, and to get quiet enough to follow and to listen and to maybe have enough trust or faith to follow. My screen's just frozen, so I'm gonna wait for it to catch up. There we go. So that's the benefit of having the North Node in Pisces over the last year, is really like, if you've been syncing up with this energy, you've been surrendered and you've had this connection, and you've maybe been able to breathe through life just enough in a surrendered way to see like, actually, when I don't control, things do work out for me. And yeah, I've been through a lot of hard letting go and release, but ultimately I know I'm better for it. So I have this greater sense of trust that I can take these leaps in my life and ultimately follow my heart. right? And so we've all kind of started to develop this dream in our heart of like, what if I really did live in a surrendered to spirit way? What if I really did hand over my free will to my divine will and live with the potential of that? So we've got that dream. So we're attuning to, during this very big full moon solar eclipse expansion, what is the version of the future I'm aligning to? And that's the version of that dream that you've had for your life. Because, why be here and why do all of this hard self-work and self-awareness if you're not gonna like send it for your dream, right? It's like I'm so big into the Olympics. I'm such an athlete and I love watching. I'm like a Olympic super fan. So I watch every sport and I love the finals and I love just like feeling the energy of, these Olympians. And I was just watching a Canadian. She had already won gold and she had a final run. She was the last person to go. She already won. So she didn't have to send it. She could have just done a huge jump and landed and celebrated, but she decided to really send it, right? It's like, I'm at the Olympics. Why the hell not? Even if I fail, I've already won. I might as well just go for it. And that's like when you really wake up and you realize and well, it's the Aquarian view, right? When you zoom back and you're like, it's only life. When you have this expanded perspective and you're living from that quantum, I can see into all of the layers of reality. And yeah, I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a father, I'm a brother, I'm someone's kid, I'm someone's dad, but I'm also this expansive being. And it's just one life and it's short. It's a blink of the eye. The other thing I saw recently was that, I'm 40 and at 40, I only get like, on average, 40-year-olds only get like 400 more full moons or something like that. And it's like, it really puts into perspective. We're not here forever. So why not just like that Olympian on your third run, just send it, right? And the gold medal is here. It's that dream for your life in your heart, whether that's to be fully expressed, whether, whatever that dream is, that's what we've been creating over the last year with this Pisces energy of trust and like, be here, see reality for what it really is, which is soul living in body, right? And know that you're protected and you're safe and you can take the leaps because you're going to get caught. You're going to be caught. Going to get caught sounds a bit more mischievous. So that's the Pisces aspect of this, right? Continuing with that same theme that we've been on. And Venus and Mercury is here. They're flanking it like two like angels on either side of the North Node saying like, yes, we're coming together. We're supporting you. This is like hear no, see no, speak no evil. It's like being the princess of peace. You're really, if you just go gentle with yourself, if you love yourself, if you give yourself and other people grace, and you just allow yourself to be a peaceful little pink cloud throughout the chaos that's happening, that's really going to serve you and really going to support you in staying in this little cocoon of like heart-based protection as we keep going through these crazy things in the world, right? So that's the Pisces part of it. And then when it comes to the Aquarian part of it, then we know there's this big outer expansion coming in, right? Something in your life is going to ask you to be a colorful, vibrant, like innovative. Let's talk about Aquarius archetype. Rebel, innovative, magnetic, because that kind of energy is unique. It draws people in. It makes people curious about you because you're doing things in a different way, right? You're innovating, you're inventive. That's Aquarian energy. It's also electric. it shocks people, right? So the magnetism goes, oh, that person is interesting. I don't know what it is about them, but I'm kind of drawn to them. And then when you get into their field, they shock you into this little moment of awakening, right? So there's also this activator where when you step into your Aquarian energy, you activate other people in their Aquarian energy. And it's the age of Aquarius. We all chose to be here, of course, during this time with our own unique genius, our own unique genius. And that is really like my key word for Aquarius, because Aquarians are fixed air, right? They have this incredible brain, this high intelligence. And the Aquarians are just like in their head, creating worlds, innovative. It's like Steve Jobs type energy where they're like creating something out of nothing. It's sci-fi, it's like Avatar. It's this kind of ability to like really create something and bring it to this world, right? So Aquarius is the intelligence. And Pisces right now is the heart. And then there's this notion of bridging between the heart and the intelligence. And there's this little gland, and this came up in the last reading that I did. It's called the thymus gland. And that's probably why I chose to do that reading today, because it wasn't due until Wednesday, but I was like, no, I'm going to do this one today, probably to remind me to talk about the thymus gland. So there's this gland in behind our heart. It looks like a butterfly, and sometimes it flutters. If you feel a fluttering at the top of your heart, it's like a high heart activation. And what it does is it really determines in the body what is you and what isn't you, and on like an immune system basis, right? But everything that has a biological function has an energetic function. And if we really think about that, there's this balance that we're always trying to strike between the mind and the heart. What is you and what isn't you? Right? The mind is a data collection center. It stores data for us. And it isn't really you. The true you is that spark, that soul, that essence, that higher embodiment that is always within all of us. That's the true you. The mind isn't really you. But then there's the consciousness, right? The high consciousness of a mind that's highly intelligent and loves gathering information and is open also, like you can think of the crown chakra, right? Pulling in information and data from the web, the quantum web. This is a very Aquarian thing as well, right? And a lot of these geniuses, these people that have created incredible sci-fi movies that are just otherworldly, it's like, where does that come from? A lot of people, authors, our genius comes from our, they're remembered, they're downloaded truths, right? And so these people are pulling from the ethers, not even knowing that they're doing it. And they're bringing it into this high intelligence that they have. And they're creating from that place, right? You've got like an iPhone. Cool. Good job, whoever you are. But when true magic happens and when the Aquarius is in their like most beautiful mastery, is when there's this bridge between the high intelligence of Aquarius and the high heart, right? So that place where the heart elevates into this discernment between like not just data, but truly me. This is my true expression. Authenticity is a huge word when we talk about Aquarius, right? Because they're highly authentic people. When we're doing that and when we're connected and we're bringing those downloads into our heart, and then they're being activated through the thymus, and the thymus is saying, yes, this is you, this is your true expression. It's like this combination of the brain and the heart, the cells brain cells in the high heart that then start to lead our life. And we have this beautiful combination of mind consciousness and heart, and that is Aquarian. And we all have that, and that is our Aquarian unique genius. And how absolutely beautiful that this fire horse energy, this collective massive shift that we have with Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries. I mean, that's like a once in a lifetime timeline shift collectively for all of us, is going to change the world. It already has. It's already happened. How beautiful that we're getting this, all of us are getting this bright, big expansion and activation to our own unique genius to kick off this season of growth. And by season of growth, I mean these eclipse seasons, which just continue to cycle, right? So we have the new moon eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th, and that begins a whole new cycle of growth that's going to lead us into eventually life really looking like what that dream in our heart is. So right now we are attuning to, right? We're getting out of the emotionally entangled energy suck, or the places that keep us dense and keep us in reoccurring patterns in the human field, right? Trauma all over the body. We've got all of these knots, all of us, all over us, right? And we're always dealing with that. And, you know, our consciousness very much can get sucked into these whirlpools, and we can just stay there. We can just drown in them, right? There's a time and a place for our healing, but it isn't necessarily during an Aquarius new moon. That would be permission to like expand and open up and be like, okay, how much can I like breathe into this expansion? Like, it reminds me of sitting in an ice bath. You're actually like going like that, right? Like the body is pulling in more air, and you have to really like, okay, breathe into it, because it's like expanding you. It's expanding your potential, and you have to really like hold that, right? And a lot of us aren't used to, especially in this Aquarian energy, really pushing and moving into our unique genius. And especially when it's Aquarius, it's like not of this world. It's not conventional. It's not necessarily, you know, standard protocol. Like me doing these videos and talking about astrology and all of this stuff. I'm sure there's people, when I started sharing my views and my own unique genius publicly, that were like, what the heck is Alicia doing? Like, what is she talking about? Oh, she's woo-y, or she's crazy, or whatever it is. And that's where the Aquarian that is rooted in authenticity, but also has this beautiful sense of inner trust, and like has, you know, handed a part of your life over to being led by, or in devotion to spirit, with joy and willingness. You're like, that's the perfect combo of just like, who cares? It's zoom out. I don't care about what people might think about me on a small little ant level. Not that they're ants, but like when I'm down on the ground and we're all just, you know, like looking at each other on that level. When I'm zoomed out, it's like, it doesn't matter, because life is bigger than that. Spirit is bigger than that. And we're really here like that Olympian taking that third jump to go like, you know what? It might be my only Olympics. It might be my last Olympics. I'm just going to send it. Who cares if I fall? And she did fall, by the way. She like totally botched her final attempt, but it didn't matter. She got up and she was just like, yeah, and everyone cheered for her. And this is like what this coming year is about. We've talked a lot about Year of the Fire Horse, requiring courage and pushing us out of our comfort zone. That's very much going to be the theme as we keep moving forward between Aquarius and Leo, because Leo really loves their comfort zone. They love historic belief systems. So that's another thing to tune into. Once you've identified this dream, this leap, this soul-based dream that you have, and how this Aquarian energy, when you fully express it and you start to bring in your own downloads and speak to it and let that kind of flow out of you, then you're aligning the architecture of your life to this future dream. And this is what these next couple of years are going to be about, is to creating course corrections and to rearranging life so that our dreams, as long as we're moving towards them and taking those risks, those heart risks, they're going to come to fruition. That's the world that we get to live in now after this massive shift, when we're in alignment. But first we have to let go. There's a trade-off with the Aquarian. The Aquarian comes in without any attachment to historic or dated belief systems, right? Like, I don't care about history. I don't care what has happened. I don't care that you say history repeats itself. That's not how I approach things. I'm not saying it's not true, but for me and how I'm moving the needle forward as an Aquarian, I'm creating a future beyond my wildest dreams. I want to invent something that's never been done before. So I actually have to be anti-history. I have to think outside of the box, and I can't let historical or dated belief systems hold me back or shape the way that I move in the world, right? And so again, during this time, and I'm not going to talk about the lunar eclipse in this video, because the best thing that we can do now, over knowing what's coming in 2 weeks, and like, again, that's just giving fake comfort to the nervous system that wants to be soothed with knowledge of like, oh, what's coming, it's going to be scary, it's going to be hard, it's going to be horrible. Then you're just fast forwarding to anticipated suffering 2 weeks from now, knowing that it's a big scary lunar eclipse, instead of being in what this now moment is asking of you. So the best way, and when we do that, we can trust that what's being asked of us is the best possible way to, again, follow the rhythmic, harmonic patterns of this planet that we're living on. And so the best way that we can prepare for this intense lunar eclipse, blood moon that's coming, right, which is going to be a final choice point. Like, it is a big deal. That's specifically why I'm waiting and staying away from it, so we can stay in the expansive energy. The best way we can prepare for that is to expand, to upgrade the architecture of our life and make sure it's in alignment, to let the things that are holding you back from stepping into alignment with that future. And life might be testing you a little bit to say, how are you going to control your energy right now? Now that you know, are you going to do better? Now that you're focused on your unique genius and you know that that's the way to move, are you going to let these other things pull you and distract you from that? So we talked about liberating the mind from historic beliefs, permission to do things differently, break the mold, innovate, rebel. We all have this Aquarian part of us that is like the cosmic weirdo, the cosmic genius, the one who's just like really doing things differently out there. And the world needs your unique genius. The world needs your expression. So if you're playing small, if you're staying in, if you're not using your energy wisely, if you're keeping yourself in the density of the whirlpool of the human stuff right now, it might not be the best way to spend your time. And as I say that, I think about the Epstein files, right? Like, again, think about why something like that would be released. And to me, if something's released and it looks like it's for our best, there's always an ulterior motive, because the powers that are currently in control are still trying to like trap us, right? And so we have this expansion that really wants us to be out of dense patterns and belief system and thought forms, yet we got these horrendous Epstein files released, and anyone can just go in and access like videos and pictures and things that, like, I haven't gone searching for it, but so much has just come across my feed that pages I'm not following, right? Because they're trying to pump this into our perception so that we see it and we grab onto it and that stuff's dense. And all of a sudden now we're down going on a spiral of Epstein files and terrible content, when the whole point of this new moon and this massive expansion is to be like fully in your unique, expansive, like dream life. So don't let yourself be captivated or captured by any kind of dense stuff that's coming in, pulling you down. And again, this isn't me saying don't do the healing, don't go into your body, don't sit with density. And I promise you, when the lunar eclipse on March 3rd comes, we're going to have ample time to sit in the feelings of it. And I'll be right there with you being like, whew, okay, change of energy, shift of energy. We've felt that. It's kind of a confusing month because now we're doing a full 180, right? Because we have this new eclipse cycle starting in Aquarius, and it's expansive and it's fiery and it's a new cycle. But then 2 weeks later, it's like, you know, all the way back to Virgo, and not just a Virgo lunar eclipse, but the ending of this entire eclipse cycle, right? So it's the ending of all endings that's coming. So let's table that for 2 weeks from now. It's going to happen naturally. And let's really dive into this new consciousness that is being ushered in now. And we all have this expression somewhere in our chart. And it's in the Architects of the New Earth community where I share downloads about what every house means. And it's there where you can go and you can get a transit chart for yourself, and you can look up these houses, right? And you can say, okay, it's in my first house. It's you. Well, I should say it's me, right? It's the I am. Second house, self-worth, self-love, foundational security. Third house, communication, ego, mind, community. Fourth house, the mother, the house of the mother, the nurturer, right? The inner safety. Fifth house, joy, expression, spontaneity. Sixth house, routine, wellness, work. Seventh house, partnerships. Eighth house, where partnerships deepen into like deep merging and bonding, right? Ninth house, bringing in wisdom, mastery. It's pointing the arrow towards a single pointed focus. 10th house, career and also public expression. 11th house, where career and expression elevates to serve the collective. So who you are in community and friendships, how you elevate your career. It's a humanitarian house. Same with Pisces, the one who then merges back with spirit, right? And lives in devotion to spirit and in connection to spirit. So that was like the world's quickest download, but you all have this Aquarian energy somewhere in your chart, and you might discover, oh, I'm meant to show up that way in relationships. And however I support my partner and I show up with innovative ideas, and as someone who's really thinking outside the box, must be really important to our partnership, right? Or bringing that into your everyday work and being not afraid to bring unique ideas and to download and to channel and to be like, I don't know where this is coming from, but here it is, right? That's your unique mastery. So, oh, I don't know how long this is, but I'm not sure if I took a breath the whole time. There's your Aquarius solar eclipse, new moon, cosmic wisdom update. And I'll see you here in 2 weeks for the lunar eclipse event happening in Virgo on March 3rd.